Hey there, fellow travel enthusiasts. Ever dreamt of putting together those incredible vacation experiences, the kind that people rave about?
Definitely.
Today, we're really diving deep, into this world of tour operators,
Yeah,
the masterminds behind, these seamless travel adventures.
that's right. We're going beyond just booking a flight and a hotel. We're talking about the folks who create these meticulously planned itineraries, making sure every little thing adds up to this, you know, unforgettable trip.
And to make it even more interesting, right, we're adding this whole high-tech twist to it.
Oh, yeah.
We're going to be looking at this career path through the lens of RoleCatcher, this AI-powered job search platform.
Very cool.
Think of it kind of like having a digital career buddy.
Absolutely. Like RoleCatcher gives you the inside scoop, right,
Yeah.
on what it really takes to be a fantastic tour operator.
Yeah, yeah.
From the skills you need to have and the challenges you might face every day to even what kind of questions you might get asked in an interview, how your career could grow, all that good stuff.
Yeah, it's like having it's like a cheat sheet, but for your dream job.
Exactly. Exactly.
Okay, so let's set the scene for our listeners a little bit.
Yeah.
What exactly does a tour operator do? I mean, we all have this idea, this vision of someone crafting these perfect vacations, but what's it really like?
Okay, so picture this. You're not just picking places on a map.
Right.
You're weaving together these experiences.
Yeah.
You're managing these intricate itineraries, right? You're coordinating all the transportation, the accommodation,
Mhm.
and then you're acting as a cultural ambassador, right? Making sure that travelers have these authentic but also respectful encounters with the places they're visiting.
Yeah.
It's a lot, but it's also incredibly rewarding.
It sounds like a whirlwind,
Yeah.
but also, like you said, incredibly rewarding, especially for someone who, loves variety, loves making things happen.
Exactly. Exactly. And RoleCatcher's Guide really highlights that. You have this diverse work environment. One day you might be in a busy office. The next you could be out there on the ground dealing with some last-minute change or a flight delay, just making sure everything goes smoothly.
Speaking of those unexpected things popping up, I imagine flexibility is key in this line of work.
Oh, absolutely. It's a must-have. RoleCatcher really emphasizes that, which, can be a good thing or a bad thing. It means late nights. Sometimes you're working weekends. You might be on call for emergencies. That's just part of the job.
Right.
You got to be ready to adjust. Think on your feet when things don't go according to plan, which in travel, let's face it, happens.
So maybe not the best career for someone who loves their predictable 9 to 5.
Probably not.
But for people who, thrive in a fast-paced environment, love a good challenge, this sounds, I don't know, kind of exhilarating.
Oh, absolutely.
Now, let's talk about how AI, specifically RoleCatcher, is changing the game for folks who want to become tour operators. What makes it different from, those regular job websites?
You know how frustrating those generic job sites can be?
Oh, yeah.
RoleCatcher is different. It's like having your own personal headhunter. It uses AI to actually look at your skills, your experience, even your preferences, and then connects you with job postings that actually make sense for you.
Yeah.
It saves you so much time, from having to go through tons of irrelevant listings.
That's huge, especially with these potentially crazy work hours. Imagine, spending less time job hunting, more time actually planning those dream vacations.
Exactly.
But RoleCatcher doesn't just stop there, does it?
Not at all. Not even close.
Tell me more.
Think about how many resumes employers have to look at. Right?
Oh, yeah, hundreds.
With RoleCatcher, your resume gets analyzed by AI.
Wow.
So make sure that you're highlighting the right skills, the right keywords that will make your application stand out.
That's like having a digital resume expert in your corner.
Exactly. And the AI magic, it doesn't even stop there.
There's more. Okay, now you have to tell me.
Okay, so imagine this. You're prepping for a big interview, right? You're starting to get those pre-interview jitters. RoleCatcher to the rescue. They have this massive library of practice interview questions.
Wow.
But these aren't just any questions. They're specific to being a tour operator. How would you deal with a major crisis in the middle of a tour? Or how would you make sure a tour stays on budget but still gives people an amazing experience?
Oh, those are on-the-spot questions.
Right.
Having the chance to practice those beforehand, that could make or break an interview.
And it gets even better. You can actually record yourself answering these questions and then get personalized feedback from RoleCatcher's AI.
Yeah.
on your delivery, like what you're saying, even your body language.
It's like having a virtual mock interview to help you, smooth out any rough edges, get your confidence up.
Exactly. It's all about giving you the tools to really put your best foot forward.
Yeah.
But of course, landing that job, it really comes down to your skills and experience.
So even with like the best AI help, you still got to bring it.
You got it.
What are some of those must-have qualities that RoleCatcher highlights for people who want to be tour operators?
Yeah, you're totally right. Like AI can definitely help you refine things, but having those solid basics, that's key. And when it comes to like the must-have qualities, RoleCatcher really emphasizes this combo of like organizational skills, but also, you know, being good with people.
Which makes sense. I mean, you're juggling itineraries, logistics, budgets. It's like, I don't know, conducting an orchestra. But instead of instruments, you've got like plane tickets and dinner reservations.
That's such a good way to put it. That meticulous attention to detail, that planning, being able to handle like a million things at once, it's essential. You're basically like the architect of these, smooth and enjoyable travel experiences.
And we can't forget about those people skills. I imagine those really come in handy when you're dealing with like a bus full of travelers, especially if there's a detour, a delay, something like that.
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
RoleCatcher really emphasizes like communication is everything. You're the go-to person for like everyone, the travelers, the suppliers. Clear communication, being diplomatic, sometimes under pressure. It's key.
Diplomacy, especially when you have travelers who are dealing with unexpected changes, that's like a skill in and of itself. I'm also curious about that cultural ambassador thing we talked about earlier. What does RoleCatcher say about that?
That's something I'm super passionate about. RoleCatcher really emphasizes how important it is to create those travel experiences that are inclusive, respectful, all of that. Tour operators need to be aware of those cultural differences, promote ethical tourism,
Mm.
and be mindful of their impact on the destinations, the communities they're taking people to.
Yeah, it's about going beyond like the typical touristy stuff. It's about helping people really understand and appreciate the places they're visiting. Now, while the idea of like planning these amazing trips sounds super appealing, I mean, every job has its downsides, right?
Oh, course, yeah.
What does RoleCatcher say about the maybe not so glamorous side of being a tour operator?
Okay, so those demanding hours we were talking about, it's not just about making itineraries, right?
Right.
You're often dealing with last-minute changes, unexpected problems, managing expectations from all these different personalities, and sometimes in really close quarters, like think a tour bus, a packed airport terminal, stuff like that.
Sounds like you need like the patience of a saint and the resourcefulness of, I don't know, a seasoned adventurer to handle all that.
Exactly. It's true. RoleCatcher doesn't try to hide the fact that this job, it takes a lot of patience, being able to bounce back from anything, being adaptable. You got to be a master problem solver, a skilled diplomat, and honestly, sometimes even a little bit of a therapist.
It's like the ultimate test of those organizational skills and people skills we were just talking about. Now, for someone who's like, bring it on, I'm ready for all of that, what does a typical career path look like for a tour operator?
RoleCatcher is actually great at mapping out those stages from like entry level all the way up to those leadership roles. So starting out, you might be helping those more senior organizers with things like, researching destinations, managing the bookings, handling administrative stuff, all those essential things you got to learn.
So you're paying your dues, learning the ropes, really getting a feel for the industry.
Yeah, exactly. But as you get more experience, you'll naturally take on more responsibility. You might find yourself designing and managing entire trips, negotiating with suppliers, managing budgets, even like leading those pre-tour meetings. You become the conductor of those travel symphonies.
From apprentice to maestro, I love it. And for folks who have their sights set on, reaching the top, what paths does RoleCatcher highlight?
Okay, so that's where things get really interesting. One path is specialization. Like imagine becoming the expert in a specific type of travel. Adventure travel, sustainable travel, food tours, historical tours, whatever you're into.
So you're finding your niche, catering to those specific interests, those specific types of travelers.
Exactly. It helps you stand out, which is important in such a big industry. Another path that RoleCatcher talks about is entrepreneurship.
Ah, being your own boss. What would that look like in the tour world?
So picture this.
Yeah.
You could start your own tour company, design those really unique itineraries, the kind that are off the beaten path, ones that really reflect your own travel style and what you're passionate about.
Yeah.
It takes a certain kind of personality, someone with that entrepreneurial spirit, good business sense, but you have so much freedom, so much creative control.
From crafting those personalized trips to building a whole travel empire, that's incredible. Are there any other paths that RoleCatcher points out for those leadership roles?
There's one more that often gets overlooked, and
Yeah.
that's, actually working your way up in a larger tour company.
So taking on like those management roles, helping to guide the entire company?
Yeah, exactly. These roles usually involve things like strategic planning, managing big operations, making sure the company stays successful in this industry that's always changing.
It seems like there are so many options no matter what your goals are, from putting together those really intimate trips for small groups to overseeing these massive global operations.
Totally.
But no matter which path someone chooses, there's one piece of advice that seems like it applies to everyone in this field, and RoleCatcher emphasizes this too.
You're talking about networking, right?
Exactly. It's about so much more than just, going to those industry events and collecting business cards.
You got it. RoleCatcher really emphasizes that building real, genuine relationships in the tourism industry, that's what's really valuable. Connecting with people who love travel as much as you do, understanding how this industry works, because it's always changing, that can make all the difference.
It's those connections, right, that can give you insights, support, maybe even some advice when you're the one dealing with a travel nightmare.
Yeah.
What are some ways that RoleCatcher suggests, like specific ways to build those relationships in the tourism industry?
So joining those professional associations, things like the International Association of Travel and Tourism Professionals, that's a really good place to start. It's a great way to connect with people who get it.
Yeah.
Access those industry resources and just stay up to date on what's happening in the travel world, all of that.
Sounds like a great way to like immerse yourself in that world.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And then don't forget about those industry events, whether it's like an actual in-person conference or even just like online webinars, forums, that kind of thing.
Right.
Those are amazing opportunities to meet people, share ideas, get those different perspectives.
And of course, we can't forget about social media.
Oh, yeah, for sure.
Yeah.
Platforms like LinkedIn, that's huge for connecting with other tour operators, travel writers, people in the know, basically.
Yeah.
It's all about building that network, having those good conversations.
Yeah, it's like a global water cooler, but for travel people.
I love that. That's a great way to put it. It's about that sense of community, using those connections to, learn, grow, maybe even work together on some amazing adventures in the future.
So, as we wrap up our deep dive here into the world of being a tour operator, what's like the main thing you hope our listeners take away from all of this?
For me, it's that this career path, it's such a cool mix of creativity, adventure, and real human connection.
Yeah.
Definitely not for everyone. It's a lot of work. You need resilience. You have to be passionate about creating these incredible travel experiences for other people.
Yeah.
But if you're up for the challenge, it can be such a rewarding, exciting journey.
It's about taking that love you have for travel, that desire to explore, and turning it into something that not only makes your life better, but also the lives of the people you're showing around. And then with tools like RoleCatcher out there, that whole process of actually becoming a tour operator, from like the job search to getting ready for interviews, it becomes a little less scary, a lot more exciting.
I totally agree. It's amazing how technology can help people pursue what they're passionate about.
So, one last thought for all our listeners out there. While we've been talking about creating these amazing experiences for other people, what about you? How can you, as aspiring tour operators, find that same sense of wonder, that adventure in your own lives? What's waiting to be discovered, maybe right in your own backyard, your own city?
Exactly. That exploration, it starts right at home.
Mhm.
Who knows? Maybe what you discover will spark the idea for some really extraordinary trip down the line.
Love that. Such a good note to end on. All right, until next time, everyone, keep that adventurous spirit alive.